to the Jackass Show, better known as the Real Estate 401k
And
Show.
Mike is the host.
It's going to be that kind of day. I can't even get through the intro. So, well, they don't care who we are, so let's jump into it. You're going to want to text the word success to 623-AZ-RECON. That's success to 623-AZ-RECON. You're going to want to get a hold of our one of our most recent blogs entitled The 11 Possible Home Selling Mistakes to Avoid and Essential Tips for a Successful Sale. And as we know, inventory is skyrocketed in the last 6 to 8 months. Interest rates, though they've come down a little bit, they're still not perfect. And so it's more challenging for sellers right now than it was, well, let's just say during COVID.
Sure.
Immediately following COVID. And so some of the things, you have to get your house ready to sell. And there are a lot of things that you should do, a lot of things that you shouldn't do. And we put together a list of 11 possible mistakes. We're just going to talk about 3 of them today. And again, if you want to get a hold of the entire list, go ahead and text the word success to 623-AZ-RECON. I think the first one for me, Ryan, is neglecting curb appeal. People underestimate what happens psychologically in a buyer's mind when they pull up to the house and it looks like shit. We've always learned from our parents, first impressions are everything. And when a potential buyer pulls up to the front of the house, this is their first impression.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times less is more. I see so many people, they if they're really trying to pay attention to detail and they're really like focused on their curb appeal, they'll think, oh, I need to go plant more trees, plant more of this, plant more of that. And then it just kind of like, all right, because 80% of the shopping is starting online. Right, so you have to understand what it looks like, not just from the curb, but also what it looks like on pictures. And so I maintain that having less is more. I mean, having some color in there and having a couple of those check some of those boxes that are really going to hit, but don't overthink it. Just get it clean, as clutter free as possible, just like you do on the inside, and usually you can win with that. I still see people parking cars on some of these pictures, and
I know.
And so like it also goes back to who you hire, right? Like if you're just over there, I'm hiring my best friend because they need the money or they're trying to get into business or whatever, then at least have some additional advice. And I even talked to our photographer, hey, look, this is what we got going on here. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you might suggest that it could help out with the photography element of it? Yeah. Whether it's adding or subtracting, because they're going to know. I mean, it is an art. It's not like, you're at a wedding and you take great pictures. It's completely different types of photography.
Well, when it's time for photography, your agent should be letting you know, hey, the photographer is going to be here on Wednesday from 9 to 12, and then we, in addition, when we inform them of that and we let them know that, hey, make sure you don't have cars parked in front of the house and in the driveway.
And people, whether or not they notice it, even if they're not very detail oriented as far as buyers go, they notice those rake lines in the gravel. They notice the well manicured shrubbery, etc. So go ahead and with whatever you've got working for you, just use it to the max and do the best you can with what you've got.
And Justin, what can we do about your facial curb appeal?
I mean, it's amazing. So it's hard to mess it up.
It's groomed so well, and your hair, there's not a hair out of place.
No, that's what I do.
Dude, women are fainting whenever they see him walk in the door.
Yeah. I say flowers go a long way for curb appeal, though, too. I mean, it doesn't take much to put a couple flowers in, but I've always, been attracted to just some flowers in a pot, on the side of a house. I just feel like it goes a long way.
Yeah, and I like what Ryan said about, the rake lines. I mean, there's an occasion where putting, topping the gravel makes sense. but weeds, and if you've got grass, and I know people who are listening to this from out of state are going, grass? Yeah, we have a lot of homes with grass. You just understand, and what you really should do is just hop in the car with your spouse, drive around the block, pretend you're first-time home buyers, or you're home buyers interested in that property, pull up to the curb and go, what do you see? And
I want to do one more point on that, if you don't mind. It's not always just about your curb appeal. If you have neighbors that aren't taking care of their stuff, I have literally gone over there and paid for landscaping, or even paid them to move cars and just kind of, get things a little bit nicer over there, because it is a thing. If you're the, just the unicorn of the block, and both of your neighbors are over there just letting their houses go, it's worth the investment, especially right before photography or opening weekend when you're first listing it, to just
good point.
pay your neighbors to take care of their stuff. I mean, that requires a little bit of finesse, like you got to go over there and like in a very nice way say, hey, your house looks like shit. Like let's do something about it.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I'll hire someone to come over and wash your baby. Because your baby smells and stinks. And right. The second one, and again, if you want the complete list of home selling mistakes, all you got to do is text the word success to 623-AZ-RECON. That's success to 623-AZ-RECON. Justin, we're all familiar with the phrase, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And one of the most common things that I have to do as a listing agent when I have to deliver bad news, and it's a lot of the time, it has to do with paint. Because people don't have the imagination that we have as investors and see potential. Sometimes buyers walk in and they just see dollar signs. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to paint this entire house. And it doesn't necessarily even matter the condition of the paint, because you've selected colors that you like, but the average person doesn't like, and walks in and goes, shit, I'm going to have to paint everything.
The yellows, the purples,
the pinks in with princess stickers in your kids' bedroom.
I think that most buyers walk in expecting to do some type of customizing to make it their own. But good old Mr. Paint Job is the best salesman in the world.
It really is.
And I think that and these are even savvy sellers I've run into where they've bought and sold multiple homes. They say, why should I paint when the buyer is going to come in and paint anyhow? Huge mistake. Buyers lack vision, whether they admit it or not, right? They can't go in there, and if the walls are all scuffed up and just kind of looking dingy, then they're immediately going to be turned off. And usually you can paint for about $2 a square foot interior, maybe even less if you have lower ceilings and a lot of square footage.
And the painters in our Rolodex.
Right, yeah. So go ahead and just spring for it. It might cost you $5,000-$6,000 to paint the whole interior, and then you're going to make 10, 12 back. It's just a quick ROI, and usually you're going to decrease days on market by about 20%. That's just the math that's pretty much been tried and true over the years.
The smell of fresh paint just goes a long way too.
Of course,
Yeah,
it smells clean.
Super clean. Yeah. Everything looks clean too when it's painted.
Yeah, I get the new car air fresheners, and I rub it on my body, and my wife really loves it. She's like the new and improved Mikey.
Welcome back to the Jackass 401k show.
Your host, Mike Weinstein.
All right, and then the third one, and again, it goes back to first impressions are everything, because if you can get people past the curb appeal, I think, and I tell my buyers the same thing. Walk in your front door, because this is where potential buyers are walking into when they view your home. And when you open the door and you take 2 steps in, what do you see? I'd much rather that vision, whether it's a great room, family room, hallway, whatever that case is. For me, when they walk in and they see dollar signs saying that I've got to do all of this, they still may buy the house, but they've consciously already said there's a problem with this house. And so that entryway when you first walk in, I think, is incredibly important.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, that just goes along with decluttering too. I mean, it's hard to to come up with the idea that somebody is going to live in a model home. Like especially if they have if you have kids and you have dogs or whatever. Like homes are typically going to be lived in. That's why the homes that are staged and vacant are the ones that sell for the fastest and most money. But if you have to live there, then there has to be that balance. So even if it means getting up a half hour early every morning so that you're getting all the shoes out of the way, the backpacks out of the way, or the dog bowl or whatever, so that when you first walk in, you're not seeing dirty dishes or evidence of just stuff, right? I mean, there's definitely some people out there that are great at being, neat freaks, and they already do that. And if that's the case, then great, good on you. But I mean, you guys have kids, you guys have dogs. Sometimes we leave the house with a couple of things kind of thrown about, but you just have to switch it up and find.
I
that
just
discipline.
invite people to take one of our dogs when you leave.
Right. Yeah. Like
My wife does the same.
or whenever the house is getting a little bit out of hand, it's like, okay, we need to do some deep cleaning here. We always throw a party. Let's invite some people over.
Now, Justin, we've known each other for many, many years, and we're almost at our 300th episode, so I got to keep track of it. So we've been doing this a while, and I have yet to been over or invited to your house.
You have been invited.
No.
Yeah.
Saying that you were intoxicated and you don't remember, I
have multiple people that were there.
I do remember specifically, we planned a night for us all to hang out with wives and everything.
It didn't happen.
And then we went and hung out, and then you were like, oh, we're going to go home.
We gotta go.
Yeah, and it was like, okay,
running out the door.
that was bad planning on your part, buddy.
All right. Well, anyway, so when I walk in your front entry, what do I see? And what would you get rid of if you were selling your house right now?
I mean, I'm pretty clean person. My wife would say that I got an issue. Even with three kids and the dogs,
I would say you got several issues.
You're not even married to him.
I mean, I do have family photos around the house, so I'd probably take those down just so people can see their family photos on my walls. But that's I really don't have clutter. I like model home kind of living, so I try to keep my house that way.
It does look like a model home, a gorgeous home.
I wouldn't know.
Well, it's your fault.
Okay, and that was like a year and a half ago, and so I haven't got a re-invite.
Well, we got Coochie's house up next,
right,
and then my house will be following that.
All righty. All right, that is a partial representation of our full list of the 11 possible home selling mistakes to avoid. If depending on how you're viewing this, there may be a link in the comments, and or if you don't see a link, you can text us. Text the word success to 623 AZ Recon. That's success to 623 AZ Recon.